The other big story that we're watching is the whole issue of the condo associations and what is going on with that. And Florida lawmakers are pushing to adjust condo safety laws, and right now they've hit an impasse over two proposals.
Legislators sponsoring the House and Senate bills are trying to bring condominium associations into compliance with laws they passed after the Surfside condo collapse in 2021, in which 98 people died. Those laws mandated that condo associations get building inspections as well as save funds for future maintenance and repairs. A proposal in Senate Bill 1742 would allow condo associations to invest funds for future repairs. Another proposal in House Bill 913 would bar associations out of compliance from getting insurance under the state-run Citizens program. Many condo owners who cannot afford the extra expenses are now facing foreclosure. Lawmakers will continue to negotiate the two bills in committee before they're taken up by the full House and Senate.
Daryl, I'd like to start with you. Is this a financial relief or is this jeopardizing safety?
Well, it depends what they do. It's always in the end product, so to speak. I mean, because you've got 8 different bills now before the legislature. Some are quite significant, some are very encompassing, some are just bits and pieces, parts of this. And so some of those parts are State Senator Blaise Ingoglia of Spring Hill, Republican, has proposed changing the homestead exemption for condo owners that would give them some financial relief. You've got the mandatory structural reserve, which is required for condos over 3 stories. There's a proposal to change that to 6 stories. There's also a proposal with respect to these financial reserves to allow the condo owners to invest this money. So if there should be a point in time where they need to make repairs, not only will they have the base amounts of money put in there, but what they've invested. And the big problem with that, of course, is where is that money going to be invested? Who's going to do the investing? And what happens if you start with $5 million in that reserve fund and you end up with $2.5 million? Right. Somebody's going to be awful angry at that point in time.
Victor, there's been a lot of discussion about these structural integrity inspections that have to be done.
Correct.
And how, according to that report, it tells you how much money you have to have in the reserve.
Exactly.
And so one of the things that is being discussed is what is being analyzed, what is being included in that report, the fact that some things that are not part of the structural integrity are being included.
Correct.
And a lot of condo owners are saying, how can this be happening? How do you feel about all of that?
Well, the overriding issue here is insurance, because insurance dictates really a lot of these issues. Because if you don't have an inspection, if you don't meet certain standards, and as we saw, the older a building gets, the standards have increased, exponentially from 30 years ago to today.
Yeah.
So wind codes, we're dealing with stronger hurricanes, whether it be by global warming or whatever, and that's being factored into the to your premiums. And then so that the insurance companies, whether they cut these out or not, the issue is the insurance company is going to demand it. And if you can't get insurance, you basically don't have a condo. So that's the issue here. They really, I think if they solve the insurance problem, my personal feeling is if they can get everybody in a room and stop worrying about whether kids can carry guns to school and all these stupid issues they waste a lot of time on. They really need to figure out the insurance issue. We found out a lot of stuff's been coming out over the last several weeks about the insurance commissioner. They waited, who left immediately to work for the insurance companies, who was our regulator. The fact that insurance companies aren't paying 50% of their bills. I mean, the condos are no different than us here at this table having to buy insurance for our homes. So it's just an even bigger situation. I was on this panel a few weeks ago, and one of a friend of mine who was here said that her premium in her condo of 6 people went from $39,000 a year to $390,000 a year in 1 year. Wow. And then the thing is, they are not paying 50% of their claims. So yes, the guidance of whether or not to have a backup or money to repair and have your building in shape really more pertains to whether you can get the insurance or not. That's what they're talking about.
And Dr. McManus, with so many condo owners in the state of Florida looking at the legislators and who votes for what, this is a political hot potato.
Absolutely, because these bills, there's a bunch of them, as Daryl pointed out, Republicans aren't on the same page. This is just at the committee level. It has to go through the whole legislative chamber, and then it's a long way from done. But what has happened is this fits in with the big picture story about the affordability of living in Florida. And condos are a key part of that. But condos in one part of the state are different in the threats and the newness of them versus others, and you have different legislators representing them. And frankly, the affordability issue is extending broadly to a bigger problem across the country that everyone's looking at. Is we have ignored infrastructure for a long time, whether it's bridges, roads, buildings. So again, Florida is right in the middle of a huge national discussion on that.
Yes, Deborah, as a strategist, what would you say is what we can do to help raise awareness of what is in the law as it stands now? Do you think that there's a lot of confusion about what the law actually says?
Well, there certainly is, and part of the confusion goes to the point of purchase, and I do not believe that buyers are being well informed as to what the responsibilities are, the unintended consequences, the fees that they will escalate. They come from perhaps up north. They've never lived in a condominium. They don't recognize that your association could raise your fees every year. Now, what was surprising—
The special assessments are different from your association fees, yes.
Very, very different. And the associations tend to kick the can down the road. So there's some focus on beautification as opposed to infrastructure. Everyone wants the flowers, and they're not really looking at the fact that every building is a wearing asset. It depreciates. But the prices have been appreciating as the building repair has been depreciating. So I think, and I'm totally against more regulations, but I think there needs to be some regulations at the point of purchase where our buyers are better informed. So some public campaign there also. And also there's a provision that says you have to have 100% of agreement in order to do certain things. That needs to move down to 75 or even 50%. And that was the problem in South Florida, that they could not agree. Some of them wanted to make the infrastructure.
Correct.
So I think the strategy is more public information, a little bit more burden on the real estate agents, and to really delve into this. And then the change of some of these regulations that are preventing the repairs from being done right now because there's not agreement.
Well, one quick point that was made by a member of the legislature. She said all of these condo associations in Florida, the vast majority are run by elderly people. The implication was they're people who are not competent enough to manage the reserve funds that these condominiums may have and may be able to invest. So a strange thing for a member of the legislature to say when elderly people in Florida vote at a much higher rate than every other group in the state.